Have you ever felt like you're being watched? Not by a person, but by something else. For me, it started a month ago. A shadow, but not my own. This one was different. It didn't mimic my movements. It had a life of its own, clinging to the corners of my vision, a dark stain on my world that no one else could see. At first, I thought it was grief playing tricks on my mind. It had been a year since Clara left, 1 year since my world collapsed into a grayscale of memories. I tried to ignore it. I went to work. I forced myself to meet friends. I even tried dating. But the shadow was always there, lurking a silent observer in my lonely existence. It was a Tuesday when things changed. I was walking home, the city lights smearing through the rain-slicked streets. I glanced at a shop window, and there it was, right behind me. But this time, it moved. It wasn't just a patch of darkness. It took a shape, almost human, and it hesitated. As I turned, it recoiled back into the alleyway's gloom. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't just in my head. This was real. I had to know what it was. Was it a warning, a threat, or was it something else entirely? A part of me, the part that still ached for Clara, wondered if it was her spirit, unable to rest. But this felt colder, more ancient. It felt like a secret given form. The next day, I decided to confront it. I walked to the park, the place where Clara and I had our first date. The sun was bright, casting long, sharp shadows from the trees. I sat on our bench, my own shadow stretching out before me, and then, from the base of a great oak tree, it emerged. A second shadow, darker than the rest, detaching itself from the others. It flowed across the grass towards me, not with malice, but with a strange, deliberate slowness. As it grew closer, it seemed to absorb the light around it. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't run. I couldn't. I had to know. As it reached my feet, it stopped. It didn't have a face, no features at all, but I felt a gaze, an intelligence. And then a whisper. Not a sound, but a thought, planted directly into my mind. A single word. Liar. The word was ice in my veins. Liar. Who was the liar? Me. No. The voice, the feeling. It wasn't about me. It was about her, Clara. The shadow pulsed, and images flooded my mind. Not my memories, but hers. I saw her laughing with another man, his face obscured. I saw them in our favorite cafe, her hand in his. I saw a clandestine meeting on the very day she told me she needed space, that it wasn't me, it was her. The narrative I had built of a tragic, unavoidable parting began to crumble, replaced by a cold, hard truth. Betrayal. The shadow wasn't a monster, it was a messenger. It was the physical manifestation of the secrets she'd kept, the lies that had lingered in the air long after she was gone. My grief had been a warm blanket, sad but comforting in its simplicity. This new reality was a shard of glass in my heart. The shadow showed me more. It showed me the argument, the one I never knew happened. It showed me her packing a bag not to find herself, but to be with him. The perfect, tragic love story I'd been mourning was a carefully constructed fiction. She didn't just leave. She chose someone else. And she never had the courage to tell me. For days I was consumed by a white-hot rage. Every memory of Clara was now tainted. Her smile, her laughter, the way she'd look at me, was it all a performance? The shadow stayed with me, a constant, silent companion. It no longer felt threatening. It felt knowing, sympathetic even. It was as if it was my own repressed intuition. The part of me that had sensed something was wrong, but refused to see it, finally given form. I had been so blinded by love that I ignored all the signs. The late nights she claimed were with friends. The hushed phone calls. The emotional distance I had attributed to her own struggles. The shadow knew. It had always known. One evening, I found an old photo album. There we were, smiling at the camera, a perfect couple. The lie felt so profound it made me nauseous. I looked from the photo to the shadow lingering in the corner of the room. It seemed to pulse gently, expectantly. I finally understood. The shadow wasn't here to haunt me with the truth. It was here to help me accept it. It was the part of the story I had refused to write for myself. Clinging to the pain of loss was easier than facing the pain of deceit. I took a deep breath, the first truly clear breath I'd taken in a year. "Thank you," I whispered to the empty corner. The shadow began to retreat. It didn't vanish in a flash, but slowly it seemed too thin to fade, merging back into the natural twilight of the room. As it dissolved, I saw one final image in my mind, not of Clara, but of myself. It was me standing on a beach, looking out at the sunrise. I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. I was whole. The image was a promise of a future beyond this betrayal, beyond the ghost of a love that was never what it seemed. The shadow wasn't an external entity. It was my own strength, my own truth, waiting for me to be ready to see it. It was the part of myself that knew I deserved better. The next morning, I woke up and the air in my apartment felt different, lighter. I looked around, and for the first time in a month, the corners of my room were just corners. The shadows were just shadows, dancing with the morning light. I walked to the window and looked out at the city, not as a landscape of painful memories, but as a place of possibility. The grief was still there, a dull ache where a sharp pain had been, but it was now joined by something else, relief. The truth, no matter how ugly, had set me free. The shadow was gone because I no longer needed it. I had accepted the secret it held. My name is Leo, and for a long time, my story was defined by a woman who left. But that's not my story anymore. My story is about the shadow that came to visit, the shadow that held a terrible secret, the shadow that knew my name and in the end helped me remember who I was without her. The past is a part of me, but it no longer owns me. Now, when I see my own shadow stretching out before me, I smile. It's just me, walking forward, step by step, into the light. And I'm finally ready for whatever comes next. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever felt haunted by your past, know that you have the strength to face it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the edge of reality.